No need to pay for internet, you've got the physician's wireless, by user_my_home_account_. I used to work in the local IT department of a hospital owned by a large for-profit hospital system. Corporate IT ran the network. Local IT ran desktop support and were the hands of corporate IT for anything they couldn't do remotely. But local IT did not report to corporate IT, we reported to the local hospital administration. In theory, we were one happy family, but there was a large disconnect between corporate IT and local IT. Our leader of local IT was IT Director Brillo. Brillo was not a technical director by any definition. He was strictly an administrative director. However, corporate IT would send him information as if he were a technical director. Anything Brillo didn't understand, he would simply ignore. Anything that changed without notice, would be blamed on corporate IT not caring. One day Brillo received an email that he didn't ignore. Corporate IT was adding a new Wi-Fi network for hospital employees to use with a slightly higher priority than the guest network. Brillo told administration and medical staff that this Wi-Fi network was available everywhere. Not just in the hospital buildings, but at home. On the road. On vacation. No need to pay for internet, you've got the physician's wireless. Brillo called it the physician's wireless so he could say that corporate IT wanted it restricted to medical staff only, but he'll do you a favor and have one of his guys hook everyone else up too, you know, because local rules and corporate rules. Or something like that. Once we explained to that Wi-Fi doesn't work like that, and that this wasn't a cellular connection of any sort, he of course blamed corporate IT for being cheap and limiting the range. We thought he might get in at least a little bit of hot water for his claims, but no. In the end, we had to explain to everyone the limits of the Wi-Fi, set everyone up that wanted it, and Brillo went back to ignoring corporate IT emails. Where's my package? By user the bearded Satanist. I'm on call for 2 days this week for some extra Christmas recovery cash. They put a couple of us on these shifts because we're basically just there for emergencies and to tell customers no, we aren't going to update your products on New Year's Eve for you, wait until we're back from holidays please. This morning we've gotten several complaints from our southern customers about shipping delays for their RMAs, urging us to do whatever we can to ensure they're getting shipped out ASAP. Problem is that we're primarily based in the northern parts of North America, so we've been getting snowstorms like crazy. Their products are shipped but they're stuck in the depots of our shipping partners, some of which are buried under the snow right now. There are people stuck waiting for flights home, some New Yorkers have died due to the severity of the storm and its impact on local infrastructure, but people are freaking out because their packages aren't arriving on time and they need to find a workaround in the meantime. These are professionals too, not like your average tantrum-throwing customer service nightmare. End of rant, just another weird thing I encounter at my job that makes me question humanity. Don't cut the yellow cables, by user ASCII forever. Years ago during my career at a university, our building was scheduled for a major renovation. This was a total pain as we had to move everyone to temporary offices, move our servers into a temporary server room, remap our entire network creating a bunch of VLANs, and deal with the fact that our users were now scattered across the campus. We actually purchased a bicycle on the remodel budget. The project did not include any work in the basement of our old building, so the contractor walled off some old lab space and installed an HVAC unit and ran in enough power to get us through the construction phase. We had one fiber pair from this room to the basement network closet where the last old bit of fiber ran under a parking lot a nearby building that was the hub for our part of campus. During the planning for this project, myself and my coworker had repeatedly warned that we'd have service interruptions during construction. The contractor told us up front that several power outages would be required, including 1 week of the building being powered by a generator. We made sure the basement network closet was outfitted with signs, in multiple languages, warning everyone to leave it the FK alone. My coworker and I were provided with hard hats and safety vests, required anytime we had to visit our servers, and moved to temporary office in the building next door. We developed a good relationship with the contractor's on-site supervisor and he was super helpful over the course of the project. The building had a total of 4 floors, including the basement. The first step was almost total demolition of the 3 floors above the basement on this 50-year-old building. I don't know how much copper was removed, 50 years of telephone cable, CAT5 cable and electrical wiring, it was a lot for sure. I hope it got recycled. No work was done in the basement, which was fine with us since it minimized the threat of service disruptions. One day I had to visit our server room for some reason, and as I was leaving I saw some guys doing demolition work in the basement. I checked with supervisor, oh yeah, the project's been modified and we're adding some lab space in the basement. Are they going to be messing with the network closet? Nope, nothing to do with that. Networking will be done later, after we move back in. I mentioned that I saw a guy working on a ladder pulling the old network and phone cabling out. No problem, all the live network cables had been sprayed with yellow paint and the demo guys were instructed to leave that alone. Of course about 4:30 that afternoon we lose all connectivity to our servers. Grumbling, I grab my hard hat and vest and head over to see if I can find anyone to complain to. As I'm walking around the construction fence to head into the building, a young guy sees me and asks if there's any problem. His manner indicated that he was pretty sure something was wrong. Yes, there is a problem, I explain. He confesses to cutting some cables and fiber, but not yellow. About this time, the supervisor shows up and starts lecturing this poor guy while we walk into the building and find the severed fiber hanging down from the overhead. I note, it is not painted yellow. However, it is a different color than all the other cables. But not yellow. I wasn't really mad anyone, stuff happens. As it turns out, there were guys from the networking contractor working elsewhere in the building. They came down and got paid overtime to splice the fiber. The contractor got to pay for this, of course. Network was restored pretty quickly and I gently asked the supervisor if we could make sure the one live fiber connection in the basement got some yellow paint. The dinosaur won't let me, by userdexes_technician. Standing in the dining room with my future wife and other future relatives. My darling future niece, 5 said. Uncle T, can I play a game on your computer? I said, sure. A minute passes and my darling future niece loudly exclaims. The dinosaur won't let me. I catch the eyes of every adult around me and land on my future wife. The future wife says, I know what she means. And heads over to fix the problem. I hear beeping noises I've not heard before. Still perplexed by WTF is going on, I walk over to see my future wife playing a side-scroll game with a dinosaur. And that's the story of how a seasoned IT guy learned about the Chrome browser's built-in video game. Used to entertain PPL when the internet is out. I'm not in IT, but I'll fix a printer by knowing too much for my own good, by user Jabberwocky 918. Short and dumb like me. Electrical maintenance supervisor bought a new printer for 11x14 schematics because 8x11 honestly doesn't cut it. Originally, he had it in his office, but it was getting cluttered in there, and he wanted to move it out to a common area. Printer rule number 1, if the printer is happy, don't mess with it, don't touch it, and definitely don't move it. He broke that rule twice. He wanted to move another, far more commonly used, printer to a different location to keep his new one closer to his office. L.E.S.I. so needy. So, while waiting for IT to show up after a ticket was put in, we moved the printers around. The second printer at my suggestion was moved closer to other supervisors who used it more frequently than anyone else, and when IT showed up, that was the printer he decided to start working on first. He connects to the network on a phone to view and change settings and starts trying to make adjustments. While he's doing that, I'm giving the electrical supervisor grief for having all this silliness being done. The IT guy is having trouble getting everything to work on the 8x11 printer, and I make the joke that he should just swap the cables in the patch panel. I say a joke, because while I figured that's why that patch panel exists, I have no idea what our IT team is allowed to do for corporate requirements, and I'm not about to get this guy in trouble. He stops his work though and admits he never even thought about that. Swaps the cables around, and the 8x11 works again. Huzzah! The 11x14 is still printing random gibberish at random times of the day, and I am not about to try anything with drivers and print servers. Nope.